Hello again and welcome to Fit Life Journeys Episode 3, Part 2. I'm back for more of my conversation with Tab and Jone about their health and fitness journeys. In this half of the episode, we talk about what it feels like for a girl when you talk about her body, her workouts, or her lunch, how damaging those conversations can be to a woman's health, and why building confidence and knowing yourself well are the keys to living more comfortably in your own truth. I always call nutrition an evolution. I think people sometimes think, okay, I'm going to lose weight, and it's like, I have to do this and this and this and this, but it's like, for me, when it worked well, it was an evolution. It was like, the last time that I was losing weight, I started with Weight Watchers, and the very first thing I did, the very first week, all I did was log what I was eating to see how many points it was. And then the second week, I started, I think, measuring my portions to make sure that I was being accurate with that. And then after that, I started just shaving the portions down here and there, changed a bagel to an English muffin because it was a lower points, lower calories, whatever. And so to me, it's always been like an evolution that you like kind of start small and build onto, as opposed to the kind of normal diet method of go from eating junk food to eating chicken and salads and expect yourself to not be miserable and to keep up with it. So just curious for you guys, like what has been kind of your nutritional evolution on your journey?
So I worked for a weight loss company as well and went through some of the same journey that you did. And then coming here, a lot of things paralleled, but here we learn more about how important protein is because of how we're using our bodies as well and replenishing and replacing what we're consuming, with our muscles. And then early on, probably 4 or 5 years ago now, there were 3 of us specifically here, Shorty Heather, and Marilyn and myself. We started tag teaming our meal prep. And so we would all go, I'm making this, I'm making this, I'm making this. We portion it out and we share. Now I brought Tab into doing that with us as well. So we'll share some food. We'll share our discussions about meal prep and things like that. So to your point of evolution of nutrition, it was an evolution of planning that nutrition and planning to be successful, planning to have things on your shelf, planning to have different meals because you shared it with everybody. Yeah. And when you do your mass meal prep, like on the weekends, you're kind of set for the week. So that was a big part of the evolution coming here with my nutrition.
I think there are a lot of people who somehow get like offended by the concept of planning. And I think it's funny because like my mom planned out meals for the week when I was a kid, right? It was like Monday we're having this for dinner, Tuesday we're having this for dinner. I mean, it was different forms of pasta, but whatever, but like planning meals is not that far off of the way we normally live anyway. But there's always this kind of funny thing of people think like, well, I have to eat, so eating should be natural to me, so I shouldn't have to plan it. But like for myself and my husband, we often get off plan or forget to plan. I don't know if you guys know this about my husband, but he likes to be on the move constantly. So sometimes I have to like hold him down and be like, we're going to plan what you're getting at the store. Because like this happened yesterday. We left here, separate cars, and he's like, well, I'm going to go to the store. And I was like, hold, please. We're going to make a plan, and we're going to make a list of things to get from the store before you go there.
There's a shopping list on my counter at home for when Ted comes home.
Yeah.
To go get.
Well, it's like I have one on my phone. It's like I'll just send you the same one over and over again. But anyway, I just feel like sometimes people like feel like it should be easier than it is, and like no, it takes work. But like you should be planning your, who doesn't plan their meal? How do you eat?
You have to have food in the house anyway.
Right.
For me, the plan is comfort because. Well, we may get off track sometimes, but when I get home, after a long day at work, I don't have to then think about, well, what am I going to make or what am I going to eat? I just look at my list, we go from there. So it's just taking, when I have that time on the weekend when things are a little slower, when I don't have that kind of like wore down from work, and I make that plan, it just makes the week go smoother because I don't have to then figure one more thing out. So it just makes things flow for me. If we don't figure out what we're going to eat on the weekend, sometimes it's just havoc. You're kind of just grabbing whatever sounds good in the moment, whether it's what you really want to eat or what you should be eating. It just makes it all flow better if I just have a list to kind of just reference.
Yeah, and I think it's important to say, like, people have different lives, and you don't have to try and, like, Johnny, you mentioned, like, the big weekend meal prep or whatever, but it's like, you don't have to do it that way. Like, you have to figure out, like, what works best in your life, but also, like, having the right things at home is huge.
Yes.
I am not much of a cooker. I don't know what to say. But like with the back issues and stuff like that, I can usually only spend about 5 to 10 minutes standing in my kitchen, and then I have to go sit down until the back stops hurting. But I go and buy things, market district. So I'm a sucker for pre-prepped things.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a little expensive, but then I like think about like how many servings do I get out of this? I'm like, it's actually not that bad.
Yeah. But it works for you.
Right. Like I bought a little container of grilled vegetables. They have these little like vegetable salads that are just in like oil or vinegar or whatever. And it's like, I go get those because then I know if I'm like sitting at home and get hungry, am I going to go to the gas station and grab some chips? Maybe. And it's funny because it's like, you wouldn't think that like vegetables would fulfill a chip craving, but oftentimes it's not a chip craving. It's I want a snack and I want something right now and I don't want to cook. And so like I'm a piece of string cheese and some vegetables, and that actually is a pretty decent snack. And it saves me, I have to have the understanding and the knowledge of myself and what works for me and what doesn't.
Yes.
So like I don't try to be Johnny and spend all Sunday cooking.
Right.
But if I'm going to be successful, I have to know, like I still have to do something. And I know for me right now, it's scouring the the done for you food at Market District for the, hey, here's roasted baby carrots, because you can also get a giant like pile of fettuccine Alfredo and mac and cheese or whatever. So it's smart scouring of the done for you meals. But it's like, oh, here's fajitas in a container. Here's roasted carrots. Here's a little salad. Some of their soups are really good too.
They are. For me, I have to have work figured out, done, prepped on the weekends because I don't have the mental space when I get home to figure out dinner plus lunch and pack all that mess up and get out to the barn for chores. It just doesn't work for me. So my weekends, I always have everything I need for work prepped. Then dinner is just figured out. It's not made, but that works for us. And generally it'll be it might be a crock pot meal if we know we have something else going on.
Sure.
Sometimes I've even had to rely on the restaurant up the street to grill chicken and vegetables for me, and that's how I got lunch for the week. It's no different. You just have to figure out what works for you, and don't worry about that. You had to scour the pre-roasted vegetables. Who cares? No one else is paying for it but you.
Right.
So as long as you're making good choices for what works for you.
And I think the crock pot can be a good one because I know that there's people who don't want dinner, like they don't want to take it out of the fridge already prepped and put it in the microwave. They want to make dinner fresh.
Yeah.
But then they also run into, I'm tired, all this stuff happened today, and now I don't want to cook.
Yeah.
So I think the crock pot is a good answer for, I have a fresh meal, but I don't have to cook right now. If you throw some stuff in there in the morning before you leave or whatever, you can come home to a fresh meal.
Very much so. We rely a lot on our crock pot. Yeah.
Yeah, we crock pot. And even yesterday we were running and we were just chatting as we were running along and discovered the steamed chicken and steamed broccoli from a local Chinese restaurant with sauces on the side. So it was really just steamed chicken and broccoli. So there's, it's another resource again for grabbing something that's already cooked.
The sauce on the side, that's a great idea, because actually the last thing I got this like shrimp and Chinese vegetables from a Chinese place, and it was really good, but even like it was too much sauce for me.
Yeah.
So to be able to control how much sauce it is, not even thinking from a like health standpoint or how many calories in the sauce, just thinking of like, I don't need that much sauce. It's like dripping. It's like swimming in it. I'm like, it's very salty.
The steamed chicken and vegetables from Chinese, it was really good. I was quite surprised how much I actually enjoyed it, and then could control sauce, like you said. Like, it was really good.
But I think, like, do you guys, this takes work, right? Would you agree? Yeah. It takes work.
Sure. Yeah. That's why on the weekends, it's when my brain has the mental space for it. Because it's just not something that I could do during the week after going to work and having to deal with all the chaos there. So if I don't, it's the weekends for me. That's where I have the time to actually focus on what I'm doing. But yeah, definitely it takes work.
So what would you say if someone like maybe didn't know where to get started, or felt like they were so busy they were like didn't know how to get the work done? Do you have any tips for stuff like that? And I know maybe it's make other people do half your meal prep for you, but just curious.
I would think just like kind of look at yourself and some things, even if you just like Tab said, prep your lunches. If you work outside of the home, if you have to leave home, or even if you are home, to have that done ahead of you, to start out that way, at least take a portion of it. And then it starts to just like morph into being able to go further and further with it. Some foods that you like, and do you have the time to crock pot it? Do you have the time to cook it? Or do you go ahead and get it prepped and you have to just warm it?
Mm-hmm. So for me, like on the weekends, we always eat breakfast. I'm a big believer in breakfast first. I don't function well without breakfast. So like for my work week, I prep all my eggs first, and then I make my breakfast for the weekend. Because I'm already have all that ingredients out. Mm-hmm. I'm already So just doing that little bit before, that's done out of the way. I don't have to think about it anymore. And now I can move on to something else, even just doing something like that.
Oh, yeah, I know. Josh talks about that sometimes with chicken. He's like, if you're going to bake 2 chicken breasts, you might as well bake 12.
Yeah. Yeah. And individually wrap them and then freeze them.
Yeah. My chicken for lunch is already out with the steaks we're going to grill for dinner tonight, because I'm already going to turn the grill on. So I'll just get everything out and done at once.
I gotta tell my husband this, because he's got this like baked chicken down to a science right now. It's coming out so juicy and good. Now I'm just thinking, hey, put some more in there.
There you go. There you go.
Put some more in there, babe.
And next thing you know, you've got one more meal done.
Yeah. Although what's funny is I'll eat the leftovers and he won't. So if he cooks like 6 chickens and we have 2 right then, that's 4 chicken for me for the rest of the week, because he won't eat them.
He doesn't eat it.
He might eat one the next day, but that'll be I'm like a week and a half later sniffing it, going, it's still good.
What was the date on this?
Yeah.
When did I cook this?
Yeah, I struggle with eating outside of our house. Mm-hmm. So for me, at work, like I struggle to, if I don't bring it, I struggle to have something. And I must be at some point in my life very scared I was going to starve, because if you see my lunch bag that I take to work, you're like, we're only here for one day, right? But I've like packed enough in case if I don't want the yogurt, I pack cottage cheese. So like for me, I'm kind of like that whole bag is just like.
So Tab's a great one to have in a snowstorm.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, because there's a road snack.
Road snacks are crucial. Not so much now because I only live 5 minutes away. But when I had a longer drive, I want to snack on something.
Oh, yeah.
And if I don't have something with me, it can get dangerous what I end up picking up. The other thing
yeah.
is, if you get home, if you don't have dinner already bubbling away in a crock pot done, then you're like, I'm going to eat half the fridge while I make dinner.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So road snacks are a big one.
There's always a planned out road snack for me.
I love it. So the one other thing I wanted to ask you guys about nutrition, because we were talking about this earlier, it's kind of like, what do you wish other women would learn about nutrition and eating? And I asked you guys this because we were talking about calories earlier, and you said that you have MyFitnessPal set to about 2,500,
Yes.
and you said about 2,100. And we know this, predominantly trying to get women to stop eating 1,200 calories or less is still so difficult. They think they can't lose weight without it. Well, I'm going to put you guys on the spot here, and you can totally tell me to kiss off if you don't like it. I want you to tell me how much you weigh and how many calories you eat in a day, roughly. Because I think this is important, because people think based on their size that I can't eat this, I can't eat this. So, my pardons for putting you on the spot about your weight, but I think it's a really important tool to have those two numbers together.
So MyFitnessPal is set at 2,500, and I come real close on either side of that on either day. Yesterday we did so much activity that I was over that, but that didn't bother me because we did a lot of stuff.
And that's an important thing to note too, that when people talk about eat less and move more, you have to base that on where you're starting from.
Correct.
So yesterday, you moved a lot, so you can actually eat a lot. Those things can slide together. When somebody's talking about 1,200 calories, well, do you sit on your couch all day and never move? Because maybe that is the right amount for you. But if you're going for walks and going to the gym and getting all this activity in, you want your calories to move with you.
Correct.
Because you need to fuel the activities you're doing.
And I weigh 157, 156, 157.
Okay. So you are not a large human being at all. And you get to eat 2,500 calories a day.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah. My goal is about 2,100. I look forward to that. I think we've gained here. I like to eat. I've never really...
Eating is fun. I don't know how anyone doesn't like to eat.
So good, right? I've never been a numbers-based person. I weigh about 156. I generally right around there, 165.
You guys weigh about the same? Of course you do.
I mean, and as a female, do I like the number? But it doesn't make me who I am. And I've just never got stuck on numbers.
Good. That's actually very good. I only wanted it as a thing, as a comparison against your calories, because I know a lot of people base it solely on size or whatever, and it's there's a lot more that goes into it. You guys are both very active, so you can eat quite a bit and get the results you want.
Yeah, and I look forward to it. I like it as a frame of reference, so I kind of know where I'm at. Just as a kind of, you don't want to go haywire, but at the same sense, I don't want to be so restricted to a number either.
Right.
So I just like it as just a kind of reference of what's my day looking like. I just like to eat, so I just like to know where I'm kind of falling within those guidelines. But if I'm hungry, I'm not going to say, well, I already hit my number. I'm going to go get me something to eat, but a good choice of something, some carrots, some celery. But I'm going to find something.
Good.
And
she's I'm going to eat.
One of our many conversations as we're getting changed in the morning was, in fact, the scale. And I really like Tab's perspective of how she felt.
Yeah.
So I am very much less a scale person than I used to be. It was in every morning when I would get up, I would check my weight. Yeah, it's just every once in a while now. So I kind of know where I am. But it was a good conversation to just pay attention to how you feel. And just like you're saying, like if you're feeling hungry, you're going to have something. Yeah. We're not going to let it stop at,
Yeah.
I'm at my calories for the day. We're going to find something because my body's obviously telling me something.
Right.
See,
and I need to listen.
I struggle with that because like doing personal training, you're gaining muscle, right?
Yes.
So you're going to weigh more.
Yes.
So you can't get stuck on what the average woman for your height size is supposed to be because that's not realistic.
Right. Yeah. Things like supposed tos and shoulds, we get rid of those. We like to get rid of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you feel?
Yeah.
You two clearly both have tons of energy and confidence. And like, you're just these bright, shiny beings in front of me right now. I love it. Johnny's always been bright and shiny. I don't know about you.
Jone always has been. She's a very positive light.
Right? Oh man, I had something else and I lost it. Johnny's shining so brightly. I forgot what else I was going to say. There was something else there. It's okay.
When I first met Tab, like it was during pandemic, and I would see Tab across the floor, and so I knew her as a person. Didn't even really know her name because we couldn't chat. We just came in, we followed the guidelines. We came in, we left, and when it came to the scheduling, we had a scheduling conflict through personal training.
Mm-hmm.
And coach reached out and said, hey, would you mind sharing your time and space with Tab? And I'm like, sure, I'm pretty sure I know who she is. But when I would look across the floor at her, because we didn't move, I could see how much she focused on the work in front of her. And she's this beautiful woman, all put together. She has, she's
right?
Just everything. She's just gorgeous
she's
when
gorgeous.
She comes in. And she would so focused on her job at hand, which was, the workout that day. So when that question was presented to me, I'm like, sure, I'm good for it, but I don't know what this lady wants to, why she would want to hang with me. She's going to run screaming after the first session. So what I came to know about Tab, though, is the positivity and the genuine person that she is and her care for another person. I mean, we have true celebrations when we succeed at something.
Yeah.
You should see us. I know we make Josh laugh a lot of times, but she is so happy for me when she sees me do something, and I'm so happy for her when I see her like come off there, and she's just like, or like feel these, and it's the fun. So Tab has her own light that comes across as well that I saw across the room before we even met.
See, whenever I see gorgeous people, I just get scared. I'm like, she's too cool for me.
That was what I was thinking. I'm like, I'm game, but I don't know what she's going to think by the end of this personal training hour.
It's so weird that anybody would feel that way looking at me because I feel like I'm so shy I'm just inwardly just trying to focus on like Jone said, what I need to do. You just don't see yourself the way other people see you. Jone is just so positive and she's so uplifting and gets me into things, like I said, that I would not normally do. But such a positivity to even just try it out. There's nothing, okay, if you fail, so what? Who really cares? Like, and it's just.
I need more Jone in my life.
I know. And seeing the things that she physically has gone through, and yet the positivity that she brings every day, and the badassery that she is, it's just amazing. It's something that you do want to kind of guide yourself after. You want to be that person. You want to, if that was ever you, how do you want to handle the thing that you're facing? Like Jone, like
you guys are gonna make me cry again.
She just doesn't know, And like I said, we talk outside of here. We talk about nutrition. We talk about how we're feeling. We
talk about everything.
So that's good because there's one more topic, and you touched on it briefly, and then you went off into all things Johnny is wonderful, which was cool, which is fine because Johnny is wonderful. But
Yes.
you mentioned a little bit about like how we see ourselves versus how other people see us, and that was one thing I want to talk to you guys about. It's like, you know, the kind of conversation around women's bodies. It's always there's always an ideal that somebody wants you to live up to, right? And I've noticed, like, for myself, like on a weight loss journey, I was like describe it as like it's private, but it's done publicly. Like anything that happens to your body is seen by the public, so you don't necessarily get the level of privacy that you want to have. So I wanted to just talk about this, and it's like, how do you guys handle these things? Or like what kind of advice would you have for other people about like learning to like be comfortable in your own body or not care as much about what other people say? Stop me when you got something. I'm just going to keep talking and make you more confused with all the words.
Something that I've learned, and a lot of it does come from being here at the gym, is being more, I don't want to say open-minded, but I guess that's kind of what I mean, because I've learned about so many people's journeys, because we are a closed group.
Mm-hmm.
So you do get to know people. And so when someone comments or stares at my body, I'm more accepting of what they might say. And in my previous life, I would have had something snappy to say, but I'm more apt now to ask them about it, or have a conversation about what I know they see and why it is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm
Caught you looking though.
kind of, yes. And I'm okay with where I am,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm okay with where they are. And hopefully I can bring them to a greater understanding and more open-mindedness that we're all individuals and nobody knows each other's journey.
Right.
And how we are, where we are, or where I've come from.
And that's like, obviously it's your story and you can tell it as much as you want to, but sometimes that transparency is helpful because if we talk about like private versus public, there's a lot of stuff that happens internally and people don't know that side of the story. Like when you talk to them, all of a sudden they have a bigger understanding and they're learning things and like this understanding grows. So I think that's really kind of interesting. I know here it's very interesting because people talk about different ways that you can comment on a woman's body, whether it's appropriate, even like compliments sometimes. And we see a lot of that here. Coach Marie, at one point in her life, was very ill and lost a bunch of weight and had to deal with constant compliments about how great she looked because she was so skinny when she was 125 pounds and barely functioning and thought she was not going to be able to, survive. So there's all these things, even like positives, that when you talk about it, it's like people have this feeling almost of like ownership of like, I can see your body, so I'm going to talk about it.
It very much is that we live in a society of I say what I want.
Yeah.
And without understanding that background of where someone is internally is huge. As for the comment that you make, that you might feel that it's not malicious. You're just doing a very nice comment towards somebody, but not understanding maybe the struggles that they went through.
Right.
How much internally that can really mess with somebody. I think it's hard as females because people always assume that because you are female, you're going to...
Trying to look hot for me? You're trying to look hot for me, right?
People always assume that, if you're heavy in the waist, you've had to have had babies, you're having babies, you are a baby, you're going to make a baby. And I think that that's a huge struggle that we all automatically want to assume we can talk about to women.
Right.
And I I think there needs to be a little bit more, let someone tell you
Right.
where they are. Or if they want to talk to you about it, it's a nice gesture because babies are so happy and lovely and wonderful, but that might not be everybody's life.
Babies are screaming and crying little aliens. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right? But just because your body image is that you have more weight around the midsection, everybody assumes it's open discussion.
And that's funny because that's something when I'm heavier, I'm always terrified that somebody's going to be like, "Oh, are you pregnant?" Or like, "When are you due? Are you going to have babies?" And there's another thing that's very funny. It's like, I don't know if people think about this, but women will often be like, "Oh, well, my belly looks like this, but it's okay because I had a baby." Yeah. And I'm like, my belly looks like that and I never had a baby. Like, it's weird how, like, you don't think about how, like, other people's experiences are or the differences. But it's funny, someone recently was like, "Have you lost weight? You look like you're losing weight." And I was like, "No." And then internally, I actually start to feel bad because they just theoretically try to give me a compliment. But then when I'm like knowing internally what's going on, I'm like, well, no, I'm not losing weight. And I'm not losing weight because this and this and this and this. And then I start feeling bad about myself because I'm not losing weight. And I'm like, how did that come from? You're trying to compliment me too. Now all I'm doing is thinking about the things that are wrong with me. And I think that's really tough for a lot of women too.
And I think one of the things that I hate that we do is if we know it's going to be a negative or we think that somebody's going to judge us, we automatically try to justify it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if I want a milkshake, I want a milkshake because I'm hungry for a milkshake. And it's on me.
Right.
That's my choice. It's how it bothers me when somebody goes, well, I know I don't need this. Well, that's on you. Mm-hmm. No one's forcing you.
I had a salad for lunch, so I can have this milkshake, guys. It's okay.
Yes. Or I gained 10 pounds. Okay. You don't have to justify to me. And I hate that we do that. I hate that as soon as you see somebody or you have something in your hand that you automatically feel someone's going to judge you on, you're automatically defensively defending yourself.
Yeah.
And I hate that body image we are like that.
I am one who always gets at restaurants, people will automatically give me what Mike ordered and give Mike what I ordered. Because he will sometimes order if he orders grilled chicken or a salad and I order a burger, they give him the burger and me the grilled chicken.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's and then I feel bad because then I feel like, oh, are they making a comment I should be eating the grilled chicken? Who knows? They're probably just guessing because they're used to women eating a certain way. But also, why do women feel like they only need to eat grilled chicken and salads at restaurants?
Right, yeah.
There's a reason that became so common, and it's not necessarily a good one. But the other one that I try to be really mindful of is have you lost weight? You look fantastic. Because it's I'm telling you look fantastic, but I'm also saying you used to be fat and ugly. Yeah. I'm not trying to, but that's kind of what it sometimes comes out as. And so especially here, because obviously most of the women here, not all, but most of the people here are trying to lose weight or they have some other goals. There's a lot of aesthetic goals. There's a lot of other goals. But you never want somebody to feel like, oh, hey, you look great means you looked like crap before. It's that's a tricky one.
It very much is. And I think that's kind of where confidence from being here at the gym is I can lift heavy things. And that's where that confidence outside of here has grown because of here. Because I pretty much is in the same weight that I walked in the door as 4 years ago. But do I have the same muscle mass?
No.
Hell no. No, not at all. So in my mind, I feel fantastic because of that. Because I know where I was 4 years ago. I'm the only one that knows that. I know the work that's put into it. I know, and that's the knowing yourself sometimes is the confidence that you need.
Right. And just watching you right now and listening to you, you can see and hear the confidence that you have. It's really interesting. I don't know if you're getting that from her too. It's
sure.
You're very forceful. You know what you're talking about. You know yourself. You're comfortable in it. And that's really cool and really key. And I think that's it's like, I think that's really important because I think a lot with like diet culture and all the things you see on Instagram and all of this stuff, that there are some women in here that I think are beautiful and strong and all of these things, and then they don't feel it or they don't see it. And I love seeing that you've kind of come into your own here of like, I love me, I'm confident and happy in me.
Yeah, because when I come here, I'm here for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here because I want to be here. So that confidence that you're feeling is because the whole reason why I want to be here is for me. So then I feed that, right? That's the wolf that I have fed by being here.
And that's like the very last question that I have on here, and you've kind of been talking about it anyways. Like, how do you learn to love yourself and focus on your own opinions instead of, I think so many people, they like ride or die on other people's opinions.
It takes practice. Small steps, and then repeating those steps till you get to that comfort level. And there are days when you'll slip and slide backwards, and then that's when you rely on like-minded people to pick you back up.
Right.
Yeah. You don't lean on them to thrive.
Mm-hmm.
You lean on them when you need that little boost to pick you back up.
Yeah.
And then that cycle continues, and you just continue to grow.
Okay, that's very interesting to me because I got into this problem of when I was in Chicago and started losing weight. It was very obvious, and everyone at the gym was like, "Oh my God, you look great! Oh my God, you look great! Oh my God, you look great!" And it became very much too much of me doing this thing to keep hearing that. And then when we moved somewhere else and no one knew what I looked like before, and that stopped, it was very like messed up in my head. So I like the concept of like getting it in yourself and using, the external validation as like a touch point when you need it, not as a constant like method of survival.
Right.
I like that, guys.
It's just like we talked, no one knows your journey.
Mm-hmm.
No one knows your battles. No one but you. So you have to know the strength that you had to put forth to get through those battles, get over that hurdle.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's what the talk you have to have with yourself. Like all these hurdles, whatever those are that you know internally, you've been over them. And here you are.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you just have to draw off of that already strength, confidence that you've been through things. All of us have.
Yeah, that was one thing my therapist in Chicago would talk to me about. He's like, it doesn't matter what happens in the future. It does not matter if you put the weight back on, like what struggles you have. He's like, that does not take away from the work you've put in and the things you have done. Like, it doesn't erase them. You've still done them. Like, different things might change your body, but it doesn't take away from all of this work you've done. It doesn't disappear. And that has always been a hard one for me. But it is true. Like, there's the work you've gone through, the mountains you've climbed. Like, you've still climbed them. like no matter what happens later.
It's like any relationship, any experience, a job you left, you always take something from it, right? A friendship, anything, good, bad, or indifferent. There's something you can draw from it. Whether you know you won't settle for that again, whether you know it was a good thing that you'll implement, there's always something that you learn. You're always learning something.
Can we ask you a question?
Yes, I'm finally, Johnny's like, are you done?
No.
Are you done yet?
We said this was the last, that was your last question. No. So what was the moment that you knew you wanted to provide a place to support and guide people in living a fit life?
You put a lot of work into that question. The moment, I don't know if there was one moment, and I don't know, it's not going to make me sound very altruistic because a lot of it at first was about me. I mean, I guess it has to be because when you're taking on like a career change, like there's going to be a lot of yourself into it. But how I got involved in this, because I was working in television beforehand, and I started working out with Josh, and I got a lot out of that relationship. I got a lot of help from him. I lost a lot of weight. I got very strong. Like, I was like deeply motivated to try and give back to him. I saw other people who had jobs where they could like alternate services or things like that. Like there's a massage therapist that would do massages in exchange for personal, stuff like that. And I had this feeling of like, I want to be able to give something back to him and I have nothing to give. You'll notice, especially in my past, I thought that I had nothing to give. There have been many moments in my life where I feel of complete no value, but we're way too deep into this podcast to start that conversation now, so that'll have to wait. But anyway, so one day they hired someone to come in and shoot a commercial. And I just kind of jokingly was like, how dare you do TV work without me? And he said, if you want to, I want to put together an exercise library. And so if you want to come in like on a Sunday, I'll do these exercises and you can record them. So I just started working with Josh as a way to give back to what he had given to me. And then the more I got involved with that, the less I liked what I was doing. Like I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to go do something else. So he and I started talking. And at first it was trying to come up with something we could sell on the internet as a like side job to the to the jobs we already had. And then he decided that he did not want to work with his business partner in Chicago anymore. And when that came about and that ended, he's like, do you want to work with me like on an actual gym? And I leapt at the chance. And it was, there were some rude awakenings along the way because like in some ways I was very naive. I started working out with Josh and I just lost weight. Like every week I lost weight. And I lost, over 100 pounds with him. And so it just seemed like, okay, I work out, I lose weight, I get results. I'm going to help him do that with other people. And I didn't know how hard it was going to be, how much people's different personalities, like not everyone feels the same. Myself now, I started struggling with anxiety and I stopped listening and doing everything Josh told me. And then was like not getting the same results, right? So it's like learning that not everyone is in this place to just like do what you tell them to do and lose weight. It was kind of a rude awakening. So when we came here, I'm just like, we lost weight and now we're going to help you lose weight. And people are like, but I don't want to eat that way, or I don't want to do what you're telling me to do, or why are we doing it this way? I really like doing this. And I'm like, what's happening here? So it was really kind of like a rude awakening, and I don't even know if originally I meant to do the things that you were asking me about there. I knew that accountability was helpful. I knew that doing this stuff on your own sucks. I love lifting weights. I can't stand cardio. Don't get me near a treadmill unless it's going to be like for walking or doing 20-second sprints. I love a 20-second sprint. Anything after that I think is boring and give me a weight to lift. So I liked the atmosphere. I thought, this is the funny part, I thought that if I got into fitness, I was going to keep the weight off forever. There's a lot more to life than that, and it doesn't work. There's a lot more to how things work than that. So I think it was probably a long time of doing this before I even felt what you're talking about there. But I want people to have a fit life, and I have a completely different understanding of what that means now. Yes. Because I'm not here, like I came here because I lost weight and I want everyone to lose weight too. I don't actually give a crap who loses weight. And that sounds horrible, but it's like, no, we are here to help you get results. And if you want to lose weight, great. The workouts will help. Listening to the nutrition information will help. You can lose weight. If you want to. If you don't want to, what do you want to do? You want to get stronger? You want to do this? You want to have more confidence? My favorite stories from our members have nothing to do with losing weight and everything to do with mostly divorce. But no, it sounds terrible, but because there are so many women who let themselves get treated like crap because they don't feel good about themselves. Yes. When they start feeling better about themselves and taking steps for them, their lives change for the better.
Yeah.
And I don't care how much you weigh. When you're able to do those things and take care of yourself and take control of your life, that's amazing.
Yes.
So I really don't know when, Johnny, but it's become this point, and that's why, like, I've put a lot of weight back on, and I will think, like, for a while, I wanted to hide. I was like, I'm a fat gym owner, and it was like, that was scary to me, and especially with, like, new people. How do we bring new people on there and be like, how are you going to help me lose weight? Like, that was all very tough, and at some point, it was just like, I have to be transparent with this. I'm going to talk about my struggles. I'm going to own it, and I'm going to try and use it to help other people. Would I like to lose some weight again? Sure. Is it number one thing in my priority? Actually, no, it's not. Do I think it needs to be anyone's number one priority? That might depend on your medical condition. But anyway, I have no idea what I'm talking about anymore. But I'm just like, I could keep going for hours. But it is, I do want people to live a fit life. It's funny because you're talking about Power Hour, and a lot of people recently have tried it, and some of them have stuck with it, and some of them haven't. That actually breaks my heart because that kind of workout was what I started with Josh doing, and it was very empowering for me.
Yeah.
And I think part of the reason sometimes that I'm so salty now is because I can't physically do it right now, and that makes me cranky. But to me, that like growth of strength and seeing like, oh, I can do this thing I didn't think I can do is one of the best ways to like build confidence and have that like moreover like fit life, because you have the confidence to start taking control and doing what you need to do for yourself. And so to me, that's more important. So I'd like to make everyone do Power Hour and lift heavy things because I think that's where confidence comes from. But maybe, everyone's different too.
Right.
But to me, confidence comes from knowing you can lift heavy things.
I think you've touched on some pretty important things. I think, one, I want to commend you on knowing where you are with things, and that confidence to be okay with where you are with things.
Oh, it's a toughie.
Sure. We all struggle. At some point. Body image, what we ate. We all struggle. But the fact that you can verbally say where you are, and that's okay, because that's where you're meeting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the word gym already comes with a stipulation of weight loss.
Right.
But I want to commend you on so many things that you touched base on giving people confidence, giving people advice, giving people nutritional value. I think sometimes when we hear the word gym, we're automatically thinking, well, it's going to be a weight loss thing. But there's so much more that comes out of it than just that. And I just want to commend you on everything else that there is to offer inside of this place.
Thank you. And also thanks for listening and taking us up on it, because not everyone does. And I think some people, maybe if they don't have the confidence to start, it can be hard to get to because you don't want to try new things, right. Or you want to, they always say the magic, or wait, no. Outside of your comfort zone is where the magic happens, right?
Yeah. And like, if people are coming into the gym, chances are they've seen photos or something like that.
Right.
So the chances are you saying being the vision you have of yourself and being a gym owner, chances are people are seeing so much more in the photos as what's bringing them in.
Mm-hmm.
And meeting them at why they're here is so much more.
Usually, a lot of times what happens is people will see a photo and go, that woman looked like me and she can do this. So maybe I can do it too. And that's really, I'm always like, yeah, you can do it. You can do it. I'll go pick 5 people off the street and be like, you can do it.
Yeah.
No, they'll probably be like, I don't want to do it. But like, that's.
Don't we all have those days, right? Where we're tired. We don't want to do it. We're, whatever be the reason. We've all been there.
But I mean, I believe anyone can do this. Like, you have to modify sometimes.
Yeah.
But
that's learning, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know where we lose that like concept of learning. I don't know where we like lose that like modification is a bad thing. I don't know where we pick that up in life.
I don't know, but I feel like it has something to do, specifically in this area, with the fact that everybody eats, everybody moves. So we think of those as areas where we should be naturally good at it and not have to work. That, honestly, that's my theory on it. Because you see, right, you've got like your different magazines with your at-home workouts. So people, I can do this at home. I can make my own food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People think this is a thing I can do by myself. So then they think they should have to, or that it should come naturally and they shouldn't have to learn. If you're familiar with the concept of fixed versus growth mindset, it is literally that. A fixed mindset is the concept that we start with everything we're ever going to have and that we can't get better. I grew up this way. I was an extremely smart little kid, and everyone just kept telling me how smart I was. But what would happen was, because I would get all A's, and then when I got to some place that was hard for me and I got a C, I just went, oh, I'm not, this is my limit, I'm done, and then I would go do something else. So I never even tried to get better at certain things because I didn't think I could. I thought that when you get to something that's hard, that's where you stop. Because part of it was because so many things were easy for me when I was little. But the other mindset that is the learning one is just that of, oh, this is hard. Let me keep working on it. Yeah. And I think people are born with certain of us are born with more fixed innate or more growth innate. I didn't learn about growth mindset until I was already working with Josh. And I use it, I will say I'm a fixed mindset, like material girl. I'm a material girl in a material world. I'm a fixed mindset girl in a growth mindset world. That's what I say. Like, I have to remind myself all the time to make sure that I don't go back to the growth or to the fixed mindset and just allow myself to sit there and not move forward.
But you know that about yourself.
I do.
And that in itself is growth.
I have therapists and coaches, and they help me know a lot about myself.
And you've taken those steps.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's growth, to find someone to assist you.
Well, that's all we have for today's episode of Fit Life Journeys. Huge thanks to my guests, Tab and Johnny, for sharing their stories with us the last 2 episodes. Join us again in another 2 weeks where we share another unique and individual Fit Life journey.